It's going to be interesting because it looks like Verb's team has decided to run Ruler as SL. So I'm guessing that's out of necessity.
Yeah, it's definitely not something you want to do. Ruler being one of the best fighting players in the game, you don't want to stick him in that class. He can still be impactful, sure, but his impact, whether it's D-Inf, O-Inf, O-Heavy, just one of those core fighters, is so much higher than that of an SL. I think during their draft, we were projecting that Jim was going to be their squad leader. But again, Australian time zone doesn't line up with this. Jim's getting ready for work right now. Not expecting him to show up.
It is unfortunate. Again, other players get a chance to play, but it is unfortunate that you have players like 15th, 16th that aren't able to show. That is part of the league. I guess you will have those attendance issues here and there. It could cost you as well.
I think a lot of it will flow into like a lessons learned when this little miniature league is over. I think in total the league runs for like 3 weeks. 2 weeks of a blended regular season featuring group play, and then 1 week of playoffs and a title match. I think ZMN, who put a lot of this together, he'll look back and realize, like, yeah, I needed to be more open to understanding the time zone constraints and whatnot, really lock in availability. As someone that didn't sign up, I didn't necessarily see the forum. I know there was something on the forum that said, are you available for these weekends? I'm not sure if it specified the fixed time windows projected for games, but from what we've seen, it's like 115 people signed up for this event, but there's only maybe 60 to 70 who can actually make these games at these regular times for us. So I think it's lessons learned. They may have to be more flexible in scheduling going forward, but we'll see a few weeks from now.
For sure. We have 4 matches lined up tonight, if I'm not mistaken. Is this actually on?
Yeah, this is live.
This is live, and we're go.
Go.
Flair picks up the first flag. And then again, we'll have a multi-base set up here on stream. Flair's info right now.
Your tank get a flag?
And Flair and company are setting up at A7.
Yeah, and on the other
That is to
side,
be expected.
you'll see Verb's team setting up at F4. So this was kind of expected because we've seen Chucky in a lot of mixes run into D6, get in and out like we played in CTFDL so many leagues. And these longer stretch bases where you have the turrets angled further back, it's harder for the JT to get to that flag room. So they do make this base selection based on Chucky being in the game, whereas if they were running a power offense on Flair's team, I would have expected them to take D6 instead of F4.
They're not running 2 heavies, though, so is Solo projected to be the D heavy there, or are they running 3 DMs?
We're not going to know until probably the second run goes through. It could just be 3 DMs out of the restricted player base. As we know, they don't have many subs available tonight, so they're probably just running what they can.
Looks like we got some action here at F4. No turret damage, probably a little bit on the MG, but nothing too critical. Looks like they are missing 1 player on offense so far, so they're just getting things going, kind of keeping the defense on their toes.
Yep. And then on the other side at A7, you've got Solo trying to set up. And for him to be effective in setup, it's got to be coordinated with these ends. The one thing all of us watching this game don't know is what the comms sound like. In a typical game, you're going to have someone in offense leading your comms saying, hey, let's go, I've got the rep for it, and that's going to open up that 3-second window for the heavy to move. But we won't know maybe if someone's recording this. We did get to see it from Axis' point of view, where you saw Jackie, who most people know, was making a lot of these calls. And it's really important running a power offense that someone's calling that out.
We had Chucky grab the flags momentarily, and that's the one thing about a JT offense, right? Is they're gonna try again. If they can do it like a TD and out, sentry down, kill the medic, they can get a lucky run, right?
Yeah, especially, they're playing against a medic who doesn't have much experience in CTF, from what I understand. The Loaf Pincher is not some seasoned veteran that knows the ins and outs of these sabotage the flag room offenses. We'll see how he can do holding off Chucky, who's got plenty of experience with flagging bases unexpectedly.
We'll see if we can get a multi-view here on stream, if you can get things going. While I do that, Angelus.
Yeah. So, At F4, they're kind of rushing. They're going RT first. Personally, as someone that plays offense, I'd prefer to go MG first, especially when you have so many imps on your offense. So I know we have a lot of skirmishers who are new to the zone. They're asking like how things work. A lot of things that aren't realized by offense is dead zones on turrets. So if you can focus an MG and turn it red, you can then dead zone the other MG and sit there as immortal, creating all this space without taking damage. And we don't see that a lot. But with someone like Flare on offense, which is another unexpected turn, I think we'll see some of that tonight. Where they'll push, they're going to red an MG, then he's going to dead zone between them, draw attention to him. Yeah, so someone asked what dead zoning means. So there's minimum range to the projectiles that come out of these turrets. So if you stand right on top of them, the projectiles cannot hit you, they'll just go through you. You can then abuse that in a way where you're taking up the space and you're kind of circling around the turret to preoccupy it, but then it's not a threat to your team. I like what Verb's team is trying to do on offense. There's clearly someone instructed Camo to go for that back MG. If you look at the angles available to hit the turrets, you can hit the back MG from the top or the RT, whereas the sentries are blocking the bottom. If they can get set up with like a one-man advantage, you'll see an MG drop much faster than an RT.
That sentry's placed too high up at A7. He doesn't have to go up in order to hit both the RT and the MG.
Yep. And then Chucky almost gets the RT at F4. Doesn't quite finish it. That's another thing people miss sometimes. You know, RG damage into an RT, you're looking between 14 and 16 damage. Or with a frag grenade, you know, you can double that. So that's also another reason it's, I'd say, better in most cases to take out the MG first. Easier to kill, allows you guys to move forward faster. It's also much easier to get inside the RT range and kind of disable it temporarily.
Flare switched to infill and immediately has results. He isolated the two DMs. Easy picks.
Yeah, Loaf's got to be careful here. Kind of lucky that Chug bounced on that bottom corner, otherwise he was out with one of the two flags. Two piles in this case.
I feel like if he didn't bounce.
It was either a bounce or a rep charge from Verb. Either way, it was a good play.
I think he bounced off the bottom left physic trying to squeeze out, but can't know for certain.
Which offense do you see has more capability to have a successful flag out? Do you think Chucky will eventually just kind of get them? Eventually with the inexperienced medic?
Yeah, I mean, they almost did that time. Like Hurt said, Flare quickly changed to infil. The DMs were not ready for it, so they got ISO'd. And then you saw the quick 4-man burst into the flag room. And that's a really tough spot as a medic when you have 4 people coming at you and one of them's an infil. So you're getting drained, there's a disruptor threat, you can't play the walls. You really just gotta try to keep your energy up and not drop because you may be the last bit of TD there.
I see Flare changing it up again. He's back to infantry, so he's definitely going to keep them on their toes. And that means that he'll probably have to carry ES, right? More likely to carry something that just the expected info here.
Yeah, that's been really controversial in this iteration of infantry, where you can change class without speccing and everything. So I think it was Axis did recently do that development that shows, hey, an infil's been put in, you get the big cloaker notification, but there are a lot of people that are upset about how quick it is still, because a lot of these infantries base their item sets on not needing space for ES, whereas when most of us played, if you played defense, you just fit it in, and when you saw an infil came in, you would turn the ES on. So I think more and more people are adjusting to that, but if not, they need to get on board, because I don't see it changing outside of that.
Right, there are pros and cons to it, and you do still need 500 energy to change classes, right? So it's not just super easy, but as well as it kind of makes it a little bit more strategic, and more awareness on the defense to know if there's an infiltrator in. And they do have a chat as well, but the chances of them noticing it might be slim, because if they're fighting, they might not notice it.
Yep. This is where things get a little bit strange at F4 really quick. So Chucky's sitting there G9ing from the back, when, in my opinion, if you're running a JT, you've got to have a higher like displacement impact. Whether it's you're flying around and you're trying to get them to chase you, or where you're bouncing them with GL. I think there's way more value in that than there's with G and Eining. And one of you mentioned it a while ago. It is surprising to see F4 set up despite having the 3D imps in. This is a very heavy favoring base, and it looks like they just don't have a heavy on the roster tonight that can play the position.
Right. Typically, in a wider base, the heavy is favored, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Same as A7.
Long hallways.
Long hallway, space for that MML to fly. And a lot of times, like in CTFDL years ago, Titan was the preferred side. But Decker's team having Tyrael, who's one of the best D heavies in the game, they chose that for him to play. It's his preferred base. He can get spacing in it. He's comfortable there. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, great base for Tyrael, and I know he's probably going to end up being #1 kills in this match. Typically, is a high kill count as D heavy.
This is looking like a clear at A7. Ooh, maybe?
Yeah, close. We bounce back, restabilize. SL probably has to heal up a little bit with him.
Is there any up-and-coming player that that you guys know that's unspec that you're interested in seeing how they play?
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier, I don't know a lot of the folks on Decker's squad. These guys just haven't been part of the kind of mix OVD community going on recently. I've seen Solo Camo play in a handful of games, maybe the past 2 weeks. He does seem like a capable heavy, given the right instructions, so if I'm identifying anyone, I'd probably pick out Solo.
Be curious to see how Solo does, given there's a lot of veteran leadership on that team between Verb, Ruler, Iron. Hopefully they can tell him, hey, this is where you're supposed to stand in position. These are the weapons you're supposed to use.
Yeah, and if you look at F4 right now, they have slowed it down. So they've got a big swing. Verb's not going to be able to keep up with all that damage without rep. So the RT is going to go down. There's no sentry blockers to really start that. And I kind of harped on that in the post-game of Mixum's first game in the draft league. Chucky's flying in. There's hardly any opposition. This could just be out and onto the pin man.
TD
He's got to get that sentry down. The sentry's still up.
CSL's also there.
Wow.
I'm sure Ruler has TD. Hopefully we don't see the bug where they get summoned out despite TD. And then they can reevaluate from here.
That was very surprising. I do feel like they missed their opportunity there. They got the medic down, no sentry. Sentry was still up. They probably could have been out.
Yeah.
Hello?
Welcome. We have Novus. How are you doing?
Yep. I'm doing great. We can finally talk. How are you going to leave Kev with power to do this, but then not know how to unsuppress? It's all good. How you doing?
We're doing all right. We're catching this action here at E4. Almost got the flags out, but I think they're stabilizing. They get the rocket up, MG up.
Yeah, and you'll see they did have the extra count there. They had an extra fighter there to give Verb time to finish building the base. And even now, it's not all the way back up. They're still missing an MG turret, potential second plasma, as the new meta seems to be, and Blair's team is trying to punish them. Now that's up to the medic right there to make a play.
Yep.
Misses, gets bailed out by the turret. That's where the
And it did
inexperience
seem
of these
like-
medics is tough.
Right, it did seem like the defense was short a player or two for quite a while. I'm not sure what happened there. But there was like 5 attacking versus 2, or 4 versus 2.
So Flair was in for that run. He did have a nice ISO that resulted in one of them dying, but I'm not sure about if they had another person down.
Pat did.
It looks.
Oh, we got a
Ack,
blink.
big blink by Ack.
I would think they wouldn't get a lot of turret damage here. It looks like they're just setting up. They're not going in. They're just getting turret damage as they're getting flanked from behind from the defense.
One thing you don't see often here is you saw Ruler come home immediately when we saw that blink. So that's someone making the call, whether it's Verb on their comms or Loaf on their comms. Someone saying, we're getting blinked. And even Ruler knows against the JT, he's the source of TD. So it was cool to see him come home and help with that. He also served as front reps to keep those turrets up.
That's very, very interesting. Typically don't see that, especially in this draft league. That's very, very cool to see something like that.
I think it's also a bit of necessity where they are playing with some, unexperienced players outside of pub. So you don't have that full trust in them that, yeah, okay, the 8 people that should swing home are going to swing home. Maybe he just does it as a panic route. Right now, Flair's running deep. 4 of these imps don't have ES. Flair is at the turrets, and no one on the other team knows it.
Let's see how much damage they can get on these turrets this time around.
Loaf not moving.
Rockets
He's
at
got to be
70.
looking at Chucky or he's out. Loaf just sitting.
Chucky's
still
almost
healing
out.
or something.
Chucky's almost out. Worth just get the kill. They are really struggling here at E4.
Yeah, they're getting blinked on. They're getting stormed on. The inexperienced medic seems to be a little bit overwhelmed.
They are really taking advantage of his inexperience. You can tell because Verb has both sentries in the flag room. He is not using one as a blocker at all.
What was crazy about that one is they saw the storm coming in, but Loaf just kept staring at the wall. Like, his attention has to be on the JT. That's just what you have to do as medic, and Earth knows that better than I do.
Materials now on offense, but I do think, from my perspective, that Flair is kind of making it hard for them. He's going to infantry, then info, and they're just kind of creating chaos there. And they have a couple players swinging home now at E4 to kind of sustain this, hold off this pressure.
Yeah, so they did lose some more turrets on that last storm. Verb's not able to mine the whole game like he wants to. Right now, he's out mining while they're basically getting pushed. So you'd expect the comms on that team to be, hey, we need 8 to 9 people home until we stabilize and build up some sort of tox count.
The biggest shame is just seeing all of these DMs without ES. Flair gets behind them consistently.
Yeah.
It's just a no-no. Even if you don't have it toggled on, you should be carrying it anyway.
And it's announced. I mean, it's coming across every time he changes.
Yeah, you have no one to blame except for yourself.
Big numbers here at F4.
Right, here's a big attack. Chucky's going for the flags. How many flags does he grab this time? He grabs 3 of them. Can he get out? We'll see if he can get out. Soup got him.
Stun. Soup dead. TD.
Can they summon Flair?
He's going to be out. Medic's going to drop. Yeah, 10 man.
Flair got the flags, and they now have all 5 flags. Oh, he got summoned for his SL, not his medic. So
Verb's team is also down 1 currently. They only have 9 people in.
They're probably doing a sub for 10 man. That's my best guess. The other team is already pushed up at the choke point. Colossal goes down. So does Flaps.
Worth gets subbed to back in, so he's the missing person.
Can they hold this choke for a good sub for a good 10 man?
So with Flair holding flags, I don't know. That's not what PT wanted to happen in this case. He was likely one of their designated 10-man infos. And as we know, when you're holding, you can't get up to that choke. So he's just now dropping. He's infantry. We'll see. Is he going to change class? Do they have other folks in info? What it looks like.
Yeah, PT just went to 3 infos, and there's still only 1 on Verb's side.
It's not looking very good for this 10-man offense. They did have the choke held, but then they had 3 deaths happen consecutively, and they were not able to hold that choke.
Yeah, barring any miracle, this one's over. They gave up the middle of the base, and once you do that, unless you have a deep blink or something, there's just no coming back. In this case, I think they actually got cleared. No blink. This one's over.
Attention, all objectives have been captured.
I did see a bit later in the game, Gun Girl did log in. It'll be interesting to see when this team plays next, do they try a different medic out? They don't have a very experienced medic between Low Pitcher and Gun Girl who were drafted back-to-back. Do they change it next time